Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the TV series with Donald Glover and a million other stars. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Heart in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 13, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Excuse me. Unnecessary would be the first word that pops into mind when I hear this. I mean, does the show look bad? Well, it looks like they spent some money on it. Looks like it could be good, but can you even sustain a series on a concept like this? It got a lot of cool people in it. I'll say that. I mean, look at the cast list. Paul Dano, I know him. Parker Posey, know her. Don't know him. John Turturro, Ron Perlman. Not sure why he's in it. Sarah Paulson. So everybody's in this damn thing. But necessary? Nah. Starts February 2nd on Prime. So I might watch it to review the first episode. But I don't know. I didn't see the one with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Back in the day when movie stars were still a thing, they just came up with a reason to put them in a movie. This has been a tradition in Hollywood going back, many years. And then, now it's an IP. You're going to bring it back. Why? What untold stories are here? Now, I'm not sure what the angle is here, but the way I would have done it is, since they are spies, you could have made this a sequel of sorts to the movie, right? You could have said, this isn't the same Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is another couple, but they work for the same, spy agency or whatever. Right? And it's a similar thing. And maybe because it sounds like they set the two up to pretend to be husband and wife and then they fall in love or whatever. Or maybe they meet or whatever. I don't know. I didn't see the original movie. Does it look intriguing? It looks violent. I'm not sure what the story is. The problem with doing spy stuff in the modern day is the same problem with doing James Bond in the modern day. Who's the bad guy? Back in the Cold War, easy peasy. Oh, it's the Soviets. Any new organization, they're backed by the Soviets, obviously. Now, who are we up against here? Who are we up against? Al Qaeda? They don't have money like this. I guess you could put the Russians back in, but really, the Chinese would be more active on that front. But it's not like the Cold War. It's not like the Soviets. The Chinese are more like, very sneaky about it. So it's not going to be action-oriented unless this is like one of the smartest shows ever written. Maybe it could be. I don't know. It just looks like Hollywood spy stuff. It just looks like all the tropes about spies. You got guns, you got secret identities, you got two attractive leads, although they don't look particularly happy to be there. I mean, I gotta say, they put out this still for these two. You can find it online, like the first movie poster. It's a series, but first still, I guess, from the show. And they literally kind of just look pissed off. They both kind of don't look happy to be there. I mean, Donald Glover looks great. Don't get me wrong. He's dressed nice. Looks like he's ready to go. He's got a little bit of energy, but not much. It's really understated. And his co-star, yeah, she's there. But they don't look like they're having a great time with it. Like a show like this, to me, should be not light necessarily, but it should be fun. It should be, awake. It feels like they're sleepwalking a little bit through this, both of them. Donald Glover seems like he's trying to have fun, but it seems a little too serious. And that's the other problem with rebooting IPs. They often reboot them and they want to up the ante, but what they end up doing is making it so damn serious that there's no fun in it anymore. In the 70s and 80s, and into the 90s, one of the things creators would do is they just make stuff up because it was cool. Hey, let's do some cool stuff. All right, I'm doing a spy show. What cool stuff can we do? Maybe we could have a gunfight on a Ferris wheel. Maybe we could have a gunfight, I don't know, in a Chuck E. Cheese with animatronic robots popping up and shooting them. Like cool stuff that you could just riff off of. This feels so... No, we have to do by the books. We have to do machine guns in the house again and the dishwasher bit. So, why? You think people won't watch it? Mr. and Mrs. Smith feels like it just came out. I know, it's an older movie, but to me it feels like, that's a fairly newish movie. Like, of all the things you want to revive, now you're reviving Mr. and Mrs. Smith? For what? It wasn't that good of a movie when it came out. I mean, it did okay, I guess. But, this is what you're reviving now? Okay. Okay, Prime. I don't understand the concept. I mean, it's such a corporate way to run a TV show, isn't it? Over at Prime, they just seem to buy things and assume, oh, there's an audience for this. No, you can't assume that. Like Donald Glover, yes, he's got an audience. He's got a pretty big following. This is okay for him. It's not totally on point. I would give him something funner to do, but it's not totally out of his wheelhouse. Like, he's a young guy, he's the right age, he's handsome, he can be a lead, but he's more, even Lando is closer to him, because at least Lando's more rogue, and you can imagine some fun with it if the killjoys over at the Lucasfilms actually pried the poles out of their butts. But this already looks a little too serious for him. So I don't know. Would I watch it? I might watch the first episode and review it if I find the time. But I'm too psyched for Reacher. Reacher's the show I want to watch. I mean, this comes out in February, so maybe by then I'll be bored enough to watch an episode. And maybe it's not too bad, but again, it's really tough to do spy stuff. Who's the enemy here? Okay, who's the enemy? What are you doing in New York? Right? Like, shouldn't you be in foreign countries if you're a spy? The assassin thing is just so tired now, too. I mean, God, Brad Pitt just did Bullet Train not too long ago, and he was the lead in this. So, I don't know, man. It's just, can we do something different? These two, I'm sure they're fine. They could have been in any show. You could have just made up a show for them. They could be vigilantes. They could be cops. They could be anything you want. Why do you have to constantly go back to your IPs? Why? Just because it's a little cheaper? Because you think there's an audience there? Where's the audience for Mr. and Mrs. Smith? The audience for Mr. and Mrs. Smith was the audience for Brad and Angelina Jolie. That was the audience. Because at that time, they were the hottest couple in the world. Everybody was following them. These two, they're not, I don't think they're a couple. So, and Donald Glover, he's got star power, but he's not at that level. And you're spending a ton of money on this show, Amazon. I could tell by the gunplay. I mean, there's a lot of gunplay in this already. I mean, that's basically all the show is. It's gunplay, sexual tension between them, and whatever else you come up with. But the only thing you're promoting in this vehicle here is the gunplay and the sexual tension. The rest? Oh yeah, well, it'll come up for a reason. No, that stuff's important too. I get it. Basically, again, this is the icing. The gunplay and the sex, that's the icing. The cake is the actual story. There's no cake. You're showing us all the icing. Oh, it's going to be all icing, baby. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was all icing. It's just all endless gunfights and these two going back and forth. Will we have sex? Will we not have sex? Are we really married? Are we not married? Are we in love? Are we not in love? Like, I don't know. I got to say this, too. I think it's an arranged marriage situation for their cover. I don't think they're actually in love because I don't feel like they have any chemistry together in this trailer whatsoever. Now, maybe that changes in the show, but it feels like they're very distant from each other. I think that's part of the show. But anyhow, here's another thing to watch, I guess. Content is king on the internet, and Amazon Prime, this is made from, they're all about the content, I guess. All right, let's see if there's a write-up. Yes, there is. Two lonely strangers land a job working for a mysterious spy agency that offers them a glorious life of espionage, wealth, world travels, and a dream brownstone in Manhattan. The catch: new identities in an arranged marriage as Mr. and Mrs. John and Jane Smith. Now hitched, John and Jane navigate a high-risk mission every week while also facing a new relationship milestone. Their complex cover story becomes even more complicated when they catch real feelings for one another. What's riskier, espionage or marriage? See, I think there should have been more about their relationship then in this trailer. There's very little of it. It should have been like, no, we can't be in love. We can have sex, but we can't be in love. Like something like that. Yeah, they feel already too distant. And you're telling me two mysterious strangers land a job working for a mysterious spy agency? That's not how spy agencies generally work. Is that how it worked in the first movie? Doesn't feel like it. Let me read what the first movie synopsis was. Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah, 2005 this was. So, a bored married couple is surprised to learn they are both assassins hired by competing agencies to kill each other. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, it's a completely different plot, too. So, they're not even going to be killing each other in this. There's Joe Rogan doing his thing. They're not even going to be killing each other. They're not working for competing agencies. This is a completely different story. It's a completely different story. So you could do that in terms of the sequel then. You could make that sequel thing I suggested work. Maybe that's what they're trying to do with this. Turning it into the Mr. and Mrs. Smith universe. Maybe they have lots of Mr. and Mrs. Smiths. I don't know, man. Hollywood, you choose the weirdest ways to bring back stuff. If I brought this back, obviously, first off, I wouldn't bring it back. I just wouldn't bring it back. It's too soon. It feels too soon. I know, 2005, that's 18 years, but it feels like it's too soon. That movie's still out there. People still watch it, I assume. I bet it didn't even do any... Let's see what it did. Let's see what it did on the numbers. All right, this movie probably is 2005. I'm going to suggest it probably cost north of 30 million, I'm going to say. Probably close to 50. It did pretty well. It did pretty well. Adjusted box office 306 for the domestic. So, I mean, it did $500 million for 2005. That is pretty good. That's pretty good. So, I mean, maybe, but I really think, again, it was more Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. So, 2005, $500 million. That's not bad. Did better overseas, though. And this is on TV. I don't know. You tell me in the comments what you think of this. I think this is a dumb move. But I think most of what Hollywood does is kind of dumb. And that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. Check us out on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble for our more base takes. If you can find a more base take, I say take it. Tomorrow, I will be at the Bayshore Center. It's not 12 to 5. It's 5 to 8:30. I had in my head 12 to 5 for some reason. Then on Saturday, it's 10 to 4. This is at the Bayshore Center Museum. So I think we're doing some sort of, we might even be doing some sort of dinner when I get down there. I don't know. So 5 to 8, then 10 to 4 on Friday. That's Friday night, 5 to 8. Spend your Friday night with me. So Saturday, 10 to 4. This is all Bay Shore Center in Bivalve, which is right next to Port Norris, New Jersey. And then on Sunday, unless we get rained out, the Oddity Vintage Show in Absecon, New Jersey. And that's it for me. We'll see you in the next one.